Welcome to the Saturday morning Nerd Show in our podcast. It is Halloween, as you can tell by our intro music. So we got a very exciting show for you today. I am Marcus Blake, your host, and joined with me, as always, is Mr. Brendan Smith.
Morning, nerds.
And we got Mr. K. Scott Cooper, our squad leader, joining us this morning.
He's doing his best to look like Jon Snow.
Jon Snow wish he had my girth.
Okay, then messed up King Theoden while Grima Wormtongue still had him under his control.
Dude, I'm okay with that. They can call me Dirty Tongue. I'm down with that.
And there you have it. That's what kind of show it's going to be this morning. We have not quite a Halloween-themed show, but something related to Liam Neeson and talking about all the great anti-hero characters that he has played over the years. But before we do that, before we get to talking about him, we've got some other things to discuss. And I just wanted to say good morning to you guys. We're a little bit earlier than normal, just trying to get this out of the way. And of course, it looks like Skynet and everything else is affecting what we do. I can't share anything on social media. Sorry about that. Yeah, it wouldn't be our show if that's what was going on. Anyway. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, all right. I guess we're just not going to be able to do that. Sorry about that, folks. Just a quick little... All right, come on. All right, there we go. I think we got it now. Before we get to the rest of our podcast, it is with a heavy heart that we want to announce and talk about the fact that Sean Connery has passed away this morning. He was 90 years old. The original James Bond. So many great characters that he played, even beyond James Bond. But we have truly lost a Hollywood icon, a great actor, and somebody that, inspired many generations.
Give me a ping, Vasily. One ping only, please. Because if 2020 didn't suck enough.
I know. If 2020 is claiming James Bond, good Lord have mercy.
And it pushed back the actual current James Bond to next year. I mean, this is... I think 2020 has a personal attack on the James Bond franchise, and I don't like it.
I agree. But, yeah, I know he's been retired for the better part of 17 years. I think his last movie was in 2003. His last major film was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Not a great film, but Sean Connery was great in it.
I kind of liked it. I mean, yeah, it was a bit, but it was good.
You know what? I'm with Scott on this one. I always think that this movie has taken way too much beating from the critics. And, first of all, if it's a movie based on comics, can we just all agree that critics need to shut the hell up because they are just going to be, well, it wasn't extremely well written, and I don't like the subject matter, and nobody gives a fuck, dude. It's a comic book movie. Shut the hell up.
Well, my point is,
fucking costumes.
I mean, compared to other films, I don't think it's as great, but I think it's a fun film. It's one of those that I still go back and watch. I think it had a great, fun cast. Mostly of English actors. I loved Oscar. Basically played Oscar Wilde. But again, it just you have it's a fun movie. But he has had so many more iconic roles, whether he was Captain Ramius from The Hunt for Red October, The Untouchables, where he won his first Oscar.
His red
Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, Chief Metallurgic to King Charles of Portugal.
Yes, and we can't deny
Highlander.
Highlander. We don't acknowledge Highlander 2. However,
no, nobody does. I don't even think he did.
Highlander 2 for him was what Jaws 4 was for Michael Caine.
Although there was a great scene when he goes to get modern clothes in a haberdasher in Edinburgh, and they said, "We are the oldest haberdashery in Edinburgh." And he goes, "Well, that's very fortunate because I am without a doubt the oldest gentleman in Edinburgh."
Very true. Again, and even this weird little sci-fi film that he did called Zardoz in the 70s was kind of interesting, where the men were
bandoliers.
yeah,
Made the banana hammock famous.
With that Burt Reynolds stash. Oh my god!
Right. I mean, where do you think Borat got it from? That movie inspired Borat.
Gross.
I think one of my all-time favorite films, just being a writer, is the one that he made in 2000 called Finding Forrester, which introduced a new actor that came in by accident, Rob Brown, which I always found fascinating, was just a kid looking to be an extra to pay off his cell phone bill, and they liked his enthusiasm, and then he gets his first starring role. Oh, and who with? Sean Connery. But he plays the reclusive writer who is very much like J.D. Salinger after writing one great book. But yeah, it's just very, very sad that Sean Connery passed away. I know it's been a while since we've seen him in film, and he was 90 years old and stuff. But anytime especially if you lose the James Bond character. With that said, real quick, speaking of James Bond, just want to go around the room out of the Sean Connery films. And when I do say Sean Connery films, we're not talking about Never Say Never, or as I like to call the reboot of, Thunderball. Right. But what was your favorite Sean Connery film? For me personally, it's always going to be From Russia with Love. So, Brendan, how about you?
I'm going to have to go with Goldfinger, just because I love Goldfinger as a villain, because he doesn't make that classic villain mistake where he keeps talking. It's like, do you expect me to talk, Goldfinger? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I've always believed that a great hero's got to have a great villain, and I thought Goldfinger was a really good villain.
Well,
and of course, he had Oddjob, so.
Right. And a good the classic Bond girl name, Pussy Galore.
What's your name? Pussy Galore. I must be dreaming. Although that's not the best line. I will say that's not the best line he's had in response to a Bond girl's name. That was from probably one of his worst movies, which was Diamonds Are Forever, when she says, "My name's Plenty O'Toole," and he looks at her and says, "Named after your father, I'm sure."
Right. Scott, how about you? What's your favorite Sean Connery Bond film?
The Bond film. Man, you got to remember. I think Thunderball. Because it's like sharks and it's awesome and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean Thunderball is probably my second favorite, just because the underwater sequences are fantastic and they still hold up over 50 years later. But I don't know. I still, if I really look at all of the movies that he did, The Untouchables is probably going to be my favorite, just because you want that kind of cop. And that iconic scene with Andy Garcia, when they get him, it's
just what we need, another thief and wop on the go. Andy Garcia puts the gun in his throat.
Right.
Oh,
right before when you see Garcia shooting, he doesn't do center mass. They're all of his shots are in.
Yeah.
That movie had so much going for it too.
Garcia puts the gun in his neck and he's like, "Oh, I like him." And what's his name? What the hell's the actor's name?
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner's just sitting there going, "Yeah, I like him too."
So Brendan, what is your favorite Sean Connery film?
Oh, come on, that's easy. You know the answer to that before you asked it. It's Hunt for Red October.
Okay, I know it was rhetorical. I just wanted you to say it. And Scott, your favorite Sean Connery film?
Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Nice. Nice. Uh, well, as I said, we've lost an iconic actor today, and our condolences from that nerd show to his family. And in honor of him, I encourage people, go watch your favorite Sean Connery Bond film, and therefore also watch your favorite Sean Connery film. He'll do a marathon. I know it's Halloween, but still. All right, moving right along before we get to other things. Since we had something sad, it's time to have something funny, and it's this week's Sign of the Apocalypse here in the nerd world. And I know it's easy to say Sean Connery dying is this week's Sign of the Apocalypse, and it really truly is. Like I said, 2020 is claiming James Bond. But we have something a little bit better. And this goes out to the two numbskull cops in Miami who were the real bad boys. Yes. Officers Roderick Flowers and Keith Edwards, they actually lived the lifestyle of from the Bad Boy films, trying to emulate the characters from those films. So what happened is, with smoking cigars, thick gold jewelry, cool weapons, and everything, well, they've been arrested this week, and they were arrested because they were transporting drugs for a drug cartel. Yes. Sadly,
I don't think Mike Lowry would approve.
No. Actually, I would love to see if Will Smith, or Mark Lawrence tweeted that out like, there are no bad boys.
Maybe if they were shipping ecstasy, he might approve, but
I don't know. So it was actually a fake sting. They had been under investigation by federal officers for a little while, but yeah, they lived the lifestyle. And
well, yeah, you live that loud, people are gonna fucking notice, man. Come on.
Right. When you're posting to social media in the actual outfits that they wore from the original Bad Boys movie with your gold and blah blah blah, people are probably gonna notice.
Yeah, unless you really are a cop who came from money like Mike Lowry's character,
right,
and can explain why you're driving a Porsche 911. Yeah, I'm guessing what they don't call it internal affairs anymore because that has a nasty connotation.
Right.
To the Office of Professional Standards might go, where did he get the money for a Porsche?
So if you actually have that requisition form, like Sonny Crockett, to drive a confiscated, sports vehicle, then it might work out. But other than that, yes, it's a little suspicious. And you're bragging, on social media. Well, it got you caught up in a sting operation. So I will say this to Officers Roderick Flowers and Keith Edwards, and living the lifestyle. As bad boys, you may ride together, you may die together, but you're certainly going to jail together.
You are not bad boys for life. Because you're serving 25 to life, you motherfuckers.
Also, consequently enough, or coincidentally enough, sorry, you also get this year's Darwin Award. Congratulations.
I want to get the Darwin Award.
Well, the cops usually don't do too well in prison, but I'm suddenly reminded of the political cartoon I saw after Jared from Subway was sent to prison, and he's there, and they're offering him a choice of a roommate, and it's a big white guy and a big black guy, and it says, "Would you like a 6-inch or a foot long?"
Love that. I love that.
We can make an entire show of celebrities going to jail and everything that's going to happen to them. But anyway, yes. Just absolutely hilarious what is happening with these guys. It actually reminds me. I know this movie's 30 years old. You talk about cops not doing well in prison. Do you remember the Tom Selleck movie, An Innocent Man, where he gets sent to prison, where the two bad cops frame him because they got the wrong house to pick up drugs?
Yes.
Had F. Murray Abraham in it as the con doing life. The very end, when the one cop gets sent to the same prison, and just that line by F. Murray Abraham, ain't life a motherfucker. So good luck to you two. We'll see what happens. All right. we've got to do a couple of quick reviews. The first thing we want to mention, as you can tell, by Brendan's background, yes, we're excited. The first episode of The Mandalorian season 2 dropped yesterday. Brendan's watched it 3 times. I've watched it twice myself. And hopefully we've encouraged Scott to start watching The Mandalorian. But let's talk about it real quick. We'll do a full season review in 8 weeks once it's all done. But all I have to say, that episode was fucking awesome.
Okay, for the next 30 seconds, spoiler warning. If you haven't seen it, close your ears.
La, 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 la. Earmuffs.
Great motherfucking dragon. That's all I gotta say about that. And I was so pissed off this morning too, because there are people like, "Oh, the plot was so derivative," and I'm like, "Oh my fucking god!" It was finally finally we have fun Star Wars, and people can't stop bitching.
Just internet trolls. Nothing's ever gonna make you happy. Either go get some Zoloft or shut the fuck up.
It reminds me, like, there was a guy who went like on a 6-paragraph soliloquy on IGN. And I said, dude, the only thing I can say in response to this is a quote from Robin Williams in Good Morning Vietnam. You are in more dire need of a blowjob than any white man in history.
Yes, that is true. So, a friend of mine, my friend I grew up with, Mr. Clint Stutz, he commented on social media that I knew that was Timothy Oliphant before he ever said a word, and he took off the mask at the beginning of the episode because he plays the marshal. Spoiler alert. And I was like, I knew that instantly because he walked in there with that Raylan Givens swagger.
Yeah. We're going to do this right here in front of the kid.
The kid has seen worse. Yeah. But here's the great nod. Here's the thing about this episode. Is it really about them, trying to take down this great dragon? Yeah, sure. Okay. But it's a town and sand people coming together. It's not so much about that episode as it's lending to the mythology of Star Wars and everything that's going on right after the end, the second Death Star blew up.
And I love how he said that. It happened right after the Death Star blew up. The second one.
Right. But it's the point of, soon as you see him walk in wearing the Mandalorian armor, if you're a true Star Wars fan, you recognize that armor. You know whose armor that is. And you don't have to wait for the spoiler at the very end of the episode to tell you. Which, by the way, that was one of the best endings ever. Just that very last scene. And I'm not going to spoil it because you need to go watch it and see what I'm talking about. But just him looking over, watching, Mando on the speeder bike and then turning around. Yes, my inner child, my Star Wars nostalgia, everything that I love about Star Wars came out in that moment, and I was giddy as a kid.
I was giddy the whole damn episode.
So, yeah, I think they truly delivered with this episode. And by the way, I hope we do see more Timothy Oliphant. As they said in the episode, I hope our paths cross again.
Oh, that's going to happen.
We've talked about Justified on our podcast multiple times about how we are huge fans. But if you give me a Raylan Givens-like character in the Star Wars universe, fuck yeah. Let me see. This episode, I don't know if it's a perfect 10, but it's sure it really is pretty damn close. And it gave me everything that I wanted. And the only thing that
a nine's a fair score.
Yeah. The only thing that I really complain about is you leave me at the end of this episode cursing Disney Plus for like, why can't you just drop the rest of the episodes now?
Yeah. Best line of the episode, though, I promise you will not die by my hand.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't say you wouldn't die. He just said you won't die by my hand.
I tell you what I really love about the writing by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau is their use of language and foreshadowing. They are truly great at using proper language to foreshadow what's going to happen in the future. within this series. And that was absolutely perfect, even though it's just one character that we're never going to see again. But yeah, absolutely awesome. If you haven't seen the episode yet, then I question whether you're a true Star Wars fan, or if you're just bitter about the Skywalker saga on Disney. We absolutely get it. So we get it, Scott. We're not poking fun at you. We get it. We're just trying to encourage you. We're trying to be your friend and tell you it's okay. You can watch The Mandalorian.
Someone get this man a hot dog.
Give in to peer pressure. So, all right, everybody. That's all we're going to say about this episode. Like I said, we're going to have a full season review. I'm sure we're going to talk about each episode just because of how excited we are. But yeah,
I gotta wait 6 more days. This shit's pissing me off.
I know. And your theme music for that is do 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 do.
Because we finally get confirmation next week, because it's still the only actor that doesn't have the character. Like we know Katie Sackhoff's playing Bo-Katan. We know Rosario Dawson's playing Ahsoka Tano. We know, a couple other things. The only one we don't have absolute confirmation on IMDb is who WWE superstar Sasha Banks is playing. And right. We just know that she's in 7 episodes, which means she's going to be in the next episode. And please let her be Sabine.
I know. We're like...
So now I got to wait 6 more days for that. Bastard.
I know. I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. We have to do a countdown. By the way, we don't cover politics or anything. Yes, I'm wearing I voted sticker, but I want everybody to know that I voted for the ghost. But I don't give a shit about talking about politics or anything like that, or being on social media. My social media rants are, 1 more day to the next episode of The Mandalorian. Who won the election? We don't care. 1 more day.
My homebrew club on election day has our first in-person meeting since COVID. We're going to drink and forget that there is an election.
Hey, I'm brewing on election day because I can't think of anything more American than brewing beer and fucking complaining. So, all right, real quick, we got to do a segment of what you should be watching. So, Brendan and I are going to talk about the House on Haunted Hill and Bly Mansion, the second series to the House on Haunted Hill series. First and foremost, it was okay. That's all. I'll throw it out there that it's okay. Is it as good as the first series? No.
There's nowhere near as scary, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a very slow burn.
But there's a lot of melodrama, and I mean, I don't know.
It's almost like they went too Hitchcock, where they just wanted to keep that slow burn going over 9 episodes. Up until you get to the end, we're like, oh, well, okay, I kind of saw that coming.
Yeah, and just like, she slept, she waked, she walked, she slept, she waked, she walked. That was an entire episode.
I know. My biggest complaint about this series is I liked it for what it is, but you didn't need 9 episodes. You had way too many episodes to tell this particular story. You could have cut out two or three of those episodes and told it just fine. I mean, I like a slow burn, but if it's like too slow, where I'm just dragging, and I was watching it in the background while I worked, and I felt like it was just too slow. Yeah. I mean, I had to throw episodes of Star Trek in between, and I'm binge watching Deep Space Nine again as part of my work day.
Big Cisco and his awkward ass.
But here are some things that I do like about it. Had a great cast. And I am forgetting the actress's name. I should remember her name, but who was doing the narration?
Carla Cugino.
Thank you. I thought she was fantastic in being able to tell the story. But I think the biggest takeaway I come from it is when they get to the very end and the bride of the wedding that she's at, just says that it's not really a horror story, it's a love story. And it is. It's more of a tragic love story than anything else.
It's actually multiple love stories
Yeah,
with a ghostly theme.
right. And I get that, but I also kind of feel like now that you marked it as it's a horror story, and it's like but it wasn't really scary. It was just more tragedy than anything else. So the writers really definitely tapped into their inner Hitchcock, where they're building that suspense. It's not really that scary.
Yeah, they built
Uh,
suspense, but there was no scare payoff.
yeah. So
It just like
um,
they built all this suspense and then it ended and they explained everything. And I don't like, and that's another thing. Like, I'm not really keen on horrors and mysteries that explain everything, because otherwise, where's the mystery?
yeah.
You know?
No, and I agree. But I mean, the cast was very good. I'm not taking away from how good the cast really was.
No, this is more about the writing for me and just what they were trying to do with the series. It wasn't. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm kind of poo-pooing it right now, but it wasn't bad. It was just okay, and it didn't live up as far as a horror story. It did not live up to the bar that The Haunting at Hill House set, because that one I actually thought had some
Yeah.
really scary moments to it, and it was like, all right, do I really want to watch this at night after eating a pizza, drinking 4 beers, and going to sleep? No, I probably don't. Let's watch this at noon. Okay.
I thought Oliver Jackson Cohen was really good as kind of a villain and and a ghost. And I will always give a shout out to Henry Thomas, who we've interviewed and hung out with. He was really good. Had a really good British accent as well. But it's just one of those things where, and it goes into our recurring theme about some shows are too long. You have too many episodes. British TV is known for really just doing 6 or 7 episodes. You could have just done this in 6.
Hell, some of them are even 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
How long it is. So
What'd you say, Scott?
I said it just depends on how long it is, because I mean, like one of my favorite British TV shows is Midsummer Murders, and seasons for that can be anywhere from like
2 to 8
episodes to like I think the biggest season they've ever had was like maybe like 8 episodes or
Yeah,
something.
they go 2 to 8, and of course that's a kind of a different animal too, because you're talking about what is essentially a 90-minute TV movie every episode.
If not longer, because I mean I think they've had ones that are like hour 50 to like like 2:15, all kinds of stuff. So I mean, yeah. And they still manage to do it right. So I mean, it's like if they can find that balance of, with those writers can find that balance of intrigue, but little bit of lull and plot to kind of give you suspicions, 15 different red herrings, and then actually reveal who the real killer is.
Yeah, I think Midsummer is a better, like, because the difference there though is this is a serialized show where it's all one story, and Midsummer is kind of a case of the week type deal.
Yeah.
But that's more. Midsummer's very much more Agatha Christie than it is.
No.
Yeah. So, but I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Midsummer too. I watch it as well. But yeah, I just think that this would have benefited from being 6 episodes, because there's a lot of filler. Like that whole episode that I was saying was, she slept, she waked, she walked, she slept, she waked. She walked.
I kept coming back to the end too. I mean, like the last episode is really just hour-long epilogue.
Yeah.
You get one little thing about what happens with the au pair, and where she, what her fate really is and stuff. And the ending is, it's kind of cool when the story, get the storyteller when she finishes the story. But anytime when I feel like you have multiple endings or like one great big epilogue, I always go back to Randall from Clerks 2 talking about the Lord of the Rings movies with the multiple fucking endings and all it's about walking and how he simplifies everything and his typical sarcastic manner. And I'm like, that's all you were doing is, you know, and then you have to throw in this one episode. Well, we've given you 7 episodes of you don't know what the fuck is going on. So now we're going to give you the backstory and the history of Black Panther to try to make sense things. I'm like, that could have
I
been
could have done
episode.
with that. Actually, I could have done with that whole episode not being there because,
Yeah.
I mean, once you explain a thing, it's no longer mysterious. It's no longer scary. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that took away from it.
Yeah, right. And if you were going to do that, you could have literally done that half of the last episode where it's like, oh, you built all this up. Now
I
you're
was just
explaining.
gonna say, I hate it when they do that with TV shows, and they do an episode like that, and then they reveal everything, and then they try to do 4 or 5 episodes after it, and you're like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is the point of any of this? Why am I even here?
You got
Well,
your ending.
it does kind of remind me of when I went to see Lord of the Rings in the theater, and people who have never read the Lord of the Rings think that the Battle of Pelennor Fields is it. And
No.
so 20 minutes later, they're going, when's it going to end? When's the movie going to end? Why are we still here? And I finally had to get up because there was one lady who was being really loud, and I finally had to get up in the middle of the theater and scream, when the goddamn book is over, now shut up.
Well, I'm not saying that they shouldn't do another series along these lines. Absolutely. But with the writing staff, take a few cues. This was too long. You didn't get the big payoff that you did in the first series. Okay. And if you're going to do a third, fix some things. Okay. The cast is fine. The cast was really good. But it didn't live up to anything. So the way that I look at it, for me, if I'm going to give it a final grade, it's a 6. It's okay, but it doesn't really do anything for me, and it's not anything that I would go back and watch. So it's on our grading scale, it's adequate.
I'm going to agree with you there. I think a 6 is a fair grade.
Yeah, I just, but
I might have gone to a 5 if I had given up on the series, but I did watch it all the way through. So, you know, if the last 2 couple episodes I maybe just say, oh, screw it, I probably would have gone with a 4 or 5. But I did stick it out to the end. So
and here's something to consider too. If you're really going to tap into your inner Alfred Hitchcock could build great suspense with a good payoff in 2 hours.
yeah.
So just saying. Anyway, that's how we come down on this show. It's a 6 at best for us. If you are just a huge fan of the series, you check it out. But I don't think many people will go back and watch it compared to the first season, where you might revisit it again. So, but the one thing
I will say this: Oliver Jackson Cohen, who did a really good Scottish accent, even though he's from England. If you're looking for somebody to play Connor McLeod in the long gestating Highlander reboot,
right,
that he'd probably be a good choice for that.
Yeah, and I could definitely go with that. And by the way, if you like him as an actor, a movie that got caught up with COVID and everything, but it's been doing very well on demand and Redbox rentals. Check him out in the Invisible Man movie that came out at the beginning of this year, because he was really good in it.
One tie-in between this and The Mandalorian, Rahul Kohli, I believe is who played the cook in Bly Manor.
Right.
He's been tweeting out pictures of himself being really excited about The Mandalorian, wearing with The Mandalorian on his computer screen, but wearing like a Star Wars Rebels t-shirt. And he's been dropping hints that there's going to be a surprise cameo by Ezra Bridger from Rebels, and that he's playing a grown-up Ezra Bridger. So they're just a little tie-in between our first 2 topics this morning.
Well, we hope. So,
yeah.
But anyway, that's how we come down on this show. Check it out if you want. If not, stick with the first series. But again, I hope they do at least do a third and make up for the things that went wrong with this one. All right, everybody. That's what those are our reviews and what we want to talk about. Now it's time to get to our theme. So I want to explain how this subject came about. So there's kind of a little interesting backstory. Liam Neeson came out with another action movie called The Honest Thief a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, I should say. And I was the one that did the review. There was supposed to be a pretty big virtual press tour around this movie, and at one point we were actually going to get to interview Liam Neeson, Kate Walsh, and Jai Courtney from the film. It didn't happen. And another fucking thing about COVID and trying to, do press junkets for films. We were very sad about that. But anyway, maybe next time, Liam, because we do at That Nerd Show have lots of questions. Hello there, fellow nerds. I'm Marcus Blake, the editor and producer of That Nerd Show, and we need your help. That's right, we need your support. Like any news outlet, we rely on advertising and donations to keep the lights on. To be the greatest show in this universe, we need funding, and that's where you come in. Like most artists out there, we actually have a Patreon account, and we're asking for donations. But we're not just asking for you to give us money. We actually have stuff that we're going to be giving away if you donate. So we'll be uploading more and more videos to our Patreon account from YouTube, from our daily news to interviews with celebrities to gaming videos and all of our other individual shows that we are doing here in 2020. But to keep us going, we need a little bit of funding. And again, that's where you come in. So it can be as little as $1. $1 makes all the difference in the world. And you can do anywhere from $1 to $3 to $5, all the way up to $500. And we're going to be giving stuff away for your donations. So you can get some Nerd Power wristbands or any other wristbands from our series of wristbands that we're creating for nerds. You can get cool retro gaming t-shirts from our Nerd Swag shop if you make a donation of $20 or more. You can even get advertising on our website or within our videos if you make a purchase or donate $50 or more dollars. We have different tiers, like most artists. Want that new video game that's coming out this year? You want to be playing the same video game we are as we're reviewing it? Hey, you can do that with a $100 donation. Are you looking to get a new console before the year is out? Hey, $500 and you can get an Xbox One, a PlayStation 4, or even a Nintendo Switch. It just takes a little bit to help us. As little as $1 per video that we do. And we're going to have a variety of videos that you can help support. So if you like our content, if you like everything that we do as nerds, from honest conversations about pop culture to great celebrity interviews to wacky and fun gaming videos, then help support us on our Patreon account. You can check us out at patreon.com/thatnerdshow. You can check us out at patreon.com/that. Take 3. Go to patreon.com/thatnerdshow and make your donation today. Even if it's just $1. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you and stay nerdy. So the question was asked about, it was from an editorial standpoint, Liam Neeson and his action roles. What is his best action role? And I elaborated more on that by presenting the fact that he plays all these great anti-heroes, and he's been playing the best anti-heroes for the last 30 years. Especially with action movies that he keeps doing ever since his wife, Natasha Hendricks, passed away like 15 years ago. It just seems like every year there's a new action movie by Liam Neeson. And if you
by the one, there's one in post-production right now.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's like 3.
and here's what I thought. Didn't he come out like 3 years ago or 4 years ago and say he's retiring from action movies? Because actually, once you get to a certain age, it just kind of becomes ridiculous.
Well, yeah. And I'm going to elaborate on that.
Unless you're Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
So that may be true, but I think you change how the action role really is. I mean, he's not. He's obviously not going to be doing any Taken movies with all these great martial arts skills. He's just going to vary it up. Where in The Honest Thief, he was a demolition expert in the Marines, and he just blows shit up. It's just not as physically demanding. So here's kind of how we looked at it, or how we look at it. His great anti-hero roles. Where did it originate? Has he always been? Has he always done this? Is he really kind of the perfect fit? And if he keeps playing the same characters over and over, why should we keep, seeing it? And I'll answer that question for me personally. It doesn't matter if he keeps playing the same characters or copies of the same character, if it's entertaining. Okay, I mean, if you really think about it, you brought up Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and even Bruce Lee and all that. I mean, Asian action stars basically play carbon copies of the same character, but entertain us. Tom Cruise has been doing it for years, and we still go see his movies.
Yeah, Tom Cruise has been basically playing either Maverick or Ethan Hunt for 30 years.
Right. The American, whatever the movie, American Story or whatever he did, where he was running drugs based off of real life characters that ran drugs for the CIA and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's just Ethan Hunt and Maverick as a drug smuggler.
Yeah.
With a Southern accent. I'm not saying it wasn't an entertaining movie, but let's put it into perspective. But again,
I can proudly say I have not watched a Tom Cruise movie in years.
So what Scott is saying is he's not lining up and eagerly waiting for the sequel to Top Gun.
I'm eagerly waiting to line up around the corner to see that bastard's funeral.
I want to see it just because I want to see what a train wreck it's going to be.
Oh man, he's going to be all over that shit. He's going to be the new L. Ron Hubbard.
What? I'm actually excited. Sorry about that. And yes, that is my ringtone in honor of James Bond. I do not think that movie is going to be a train wreck. I think it'll actually be pretty decent. I'm excited for it. But that's beside the point. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at some of the iconic action roles that Liam Neeson has done. Whether we, like these movies and stuff like that. But I want to start it off with this question. And it was kind of we were texting back and forth in kind of a debate. Liam Neeson didn't start out in Hollywood being a great anti-hero or even doing action movies. He, like any struggling actor, took what roles he could, throughout the 80s. I mean, between British roles and American roles, I mean.
He was an Excalibur.
And he was in Excalibur.
He was in Pilgrim's Passage.
I always forget about Excalibur. I mean, that movie's almost 40 years old, but that movie is like the who's of British or Irish actors.
I mean, you got Nigel Terry, Helen Mirren, Gabriel Byrne, Liam Neeson. So yeah, Patrick Stewart. There's quite a few names in there.
Seeing not Cillian Murphy, but seeing the other Irish actor. God, I can never pronounce it.
It's Kieran. Kieran Hines.
Yes, thank you. I mean, that was like one of his very first roles. Like, again, it's the who's who of great British actors. But think about all the movies that Liam Neeson has done besides Taken, which, we can all agree that, I mean, the Taken movies are fun. The first one's really good. The other ones are just like, the first one seemed to work. Let's watch Liam Neeson use martial arts skills and be a secret agent and just kill all the bad guys, which we're okay with that.
Kill him. Crap! I didn't even realize he was in Crawl.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies of him. He plays and that was what I was going to talk about. He plays essentially an anti-hero that because he's like a bandit leader that ends up like being like, we're no cowards, and like ends up like helping the guy fucking in the end win the day. So it's just like,
yeah, I know. I mean, it's just So,
Yeah,
all right.
there's even a movie called Pilgrim's Passage, which is based off a fucking literary work. Essentially, he plays a Jesus character in that too.
Pretty much. All right. So we know Liam Neeson. He played Ra's al Ghul, in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. Well, actually, Dark Knight Rises and Batman Begins. Even though Dark Knight Rises was basically like a dream state or a hallucination by Bruce Wayne. So he did that. But if you really kind of look at his early 80s roles, I mean, besides Excalibur, he was in the Bounty movie. I think his really first American role, if I'm correct, was he did this movie with Cher and Dennis Quaid called Suspect.
Suspect.
He's like a mute on trial.
Well, actually, that's not exactly true. Apparently, he had an uncredited role as a member of the Delta Force in Chuck Norris's Delta Force.
Yes!
Now I have to go back and watch this and look for Liam Neeson.
Dude, I love Liam Neeson. Like, I'm a huge Liam Neeson fan because I love the guy. But no, in Suspect, he fucking plays a deaf mute.
Yes, deaf mute.
Vietnam veteran. He plays a deaf mute Vietnam veteran.
Yes.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it is actually kind of a good movie. Little, who really did it? He's falsely accused, and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really his first American role. Well, I don't know.
Others before that, because like he's in like the Deadpool. He's in that Mickey Rourke film, fucking A Prayer for the Day or some shit like that. He plays
okay. Well, and
like an IRA guy in that.
Well, Delta Force, even though it's uncredited, is it's an American movie. But The Mission, the one with Robert De Niro.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I had to. It was required for me because I went to a Catholic high school.
Yeah, great movie, but I don't know if you consider that an American movie just because Robert De Niro was in it.
He was on an episode of Miami Vice, and I shit you not, it was entitled "When Irish Eyes Are Crying."
Yeah. So he did that. All right. So here's the question. When and you're right, I forgot about the Deadpool movie, but when did this officially start? When did he really start doing anti-hero, become the great anti-hero? Now, I know it's not this movie called Satisfaction, where he's the manager of an all-female rock band with Justine Bateman and Julia Roberts.
It's 1989 and 1990 when he plays in Next of Kin and Darkman.
Yes, and
I don't know.
Go ahead, Scott.
I kind of argue Kroll. I kind of argue that bandit leader right there.
I mean, but come on, Next of Kin.
Oh no,
he's a brother trying to get revenge, and then ultimately ends up dying. Yeah. And then Darkman is like the anti-hero of all time.
Yes. Puts that guy in traffic. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, when we were talking about this, I originally was going to go back and say that, it kind of started with Michael Collins. Great historical film, great acting and all that. And then, Brendan reminded me is like Next of Kin and Darkman. And I was like, God damn, I forgot he was in Next of Kin. And I hadn't seen that movie in so long. I actually had to go back and watch it, which is a great little fun 80s action movie. But yeah, he basically plays a hillbilly from Kentucky who is going to serve up his own justice, because that's how you do things. Despite your brother being a cop in Chicago, to the point of, when they make these pacts, there's a record of it, and they actually, leader of a town or whatever, or record keeper, write out, how you're plotting revenge, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, he basically is an anti-hero in that movie. So for me personally, I think that's where it really starts, having gone back to watch that movie. But Brendan is also right. Darkman is the anti-hero of anti-heroes.
Oh yeah, he is. I love that film.
So here's my so my question to you, Scott. You're arguing that you could actually go all the way back to Krull.
Well, I mean, it all depends on how we define what is an anti-hero. You know.
Well,
So,
if you're basically looking at the proper definition, is where it is someone that does a little bad, basically does bad things or does things outside the norm, but for a greater purpose that ends up being good. Then I think that's how you look at it.
they are somebody that is known to have a bad reputation for doing bad, but is also occasionally known for doing very great good.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can make an argument that character in Krull is an anti-hero, but I think when you're talking about when he becomes known for playing anti-heroes,
Oh, yeah, no.
I think that's like 89, 90 is when that happens, because he plays the character in Next of Kin and then Darkman right after that. Yeah, and he tries to shred it for a little while because he's in stuff like Schindler's List and Nella, but then he goes and plays Rob Roy.
Well, then he does a film
and Michael Collins.
Yeah, and does High Spirits, which I think is the only movie where Liam Neeson literally just plays himself.
But I think my favorite line in Michael Collins is after the Irish Parliament has been arrested or the Irish cabinet has been arrested by the Brits, and it's just Michael Collins and Aidan Quinn, and he goes, "I appoint you my Minister of Mischief and Mayhem," just making fun of all the other guys and their ministers and all that.
Right. But yeah, I mean, again, I mean, he does little movies here and there, pops up before he's, really well known. And see, Darkman is one of those movies. It's not only is it very underrated, but it's not as, widely known. I mean, we don't put it, a lot of people don't put it on the same level as other, great superhero movies. And it gets largely overshadowed, even though it came out a year after, Tim Burton's Batman movie. Just people forget about it, and they don't realize who Darkman, really is and stuff.
Well, it didn't help that in the mid '90s they made those like 3 or 4 shitty ass B movies that
I know.
Right after. So
yeah, because they had Darkman 2, which didn't even have Liam Neeson. They got Honor of Vosloo to play the Darkman character. So, and that was really, really bad.
Yeah, I just pretty much, for me personally, I pretty much forget that they made other Darkman movies. I'm just like, you made one great one, leave it at that. There wasn't, take your B movie nonsense. It's the equivalent of like trying to make all these Crow movies after the original Crow. Like,
or how they made a TV show off of it? Hit the Zoe. Yeah.
Listen to the movies he's got coming out. Okay, so The Marksman, he plays an Arizona rancher that's helping a boy being pursued by drug cartels. Memory, an assassin for hire, finds that he's become the target after he refuses to complete a job for a dangerous criminal organization. A political thriller, Charlie Johnson in the Flames, a political thriller about an American journalist who travels to Africa to hunt down a murderous colonel and bring him to justice.
Liam Neeson, are you trying to tell us something? Is everything okay at home, boy?
And now he's going to take on the character of Philip Marlowe.
Right. He's got a movie coming out called The Ice Road. Which to me, when I first read about it, I'm like, is this a sequel to Cold Pursuit? Cold Pursuit in the last few years is my favorite kind of Liam Neeson anti-hero movie because literally it is taken, but you're a snowplow man.
I have a particular set of skills. I'll clean your driveway. I
know. And I've seen it a few times. It's, my boy died of a drug overdose. I'm going to hunt down all the drug dealers that are responsible for this. Oh, and by the way, I'm also going to help the Native, Americans in the region with, their quest for land and casino and all that. But yeah, he just uses his skills as a
I love how it always comes down to a casino too. It's like, hi, this is my wife. Her name is Sits with a Full House. Which I can't take credit for that joke. That's a Robin Williams joke. But anyway,
But yeah, I mean, you're just. I don't even know how to explain that. Hi, I just won Businessman of the Year, so now I'm going to go on a murder rampage and get revenge. That's a snowplow man.
It's also he's getting to the point now where he's like the Stephen King of like anti-hero films. Well, it's like for like they did on Family Guy for like my 335th book. I'm going to be a vacuum salesman that comes across a roving gang of suburbanite kids that are stealing bicycles and horribly abusing old ladies, and I'm gonna take them down. All right, fine. When can we have it?
It's like the official description of Cold Pursuit is a grieving snowplow driver seeks out revenge against the drug dealers who killed his son.
I mean, look, it's camp, but it's just kind of a cheap carbon copy of Taken, but we're entertained by this because
He's just an Irish Charles Bronson.
I know. By the way, I did actually like Cold Pursuit better as a movie than the shitty remake of Death Wish.
Well, Cold Pursuit though also did not take itself seriously at all. Like it knew it was a horrible movie with a horrible plot, and it just dove into it.
Yeah, but okay. So I mean, let's look at this in the last in the last 20 or so years. Okay, besides the Batman movie or whatever, let's start with this. After Rob Roy, Michael Collins, his next, really big role, Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1. Qui-Gon Jinn is an anti-hero. He's just like, fuck the council. I'm going to do what I want to do. I think this boy's the chosen one, and I'm going to train him. And
I wouldn't say he's an anti-hero, more as he's the biggest fuck up to ever exist, because it's like, I'm going to train this boy, and then this guy's going to go on to literally slaughter children. Yes.
Well, that's because he didn't train him. He didn't survive. And this, by the way, bringing us back to why you need to watch The Mandalorian. There's also a companion series to The Mandalorian called Disney Gallery of The Mandalorian, where they have roundtable discussions with the actors, the tech people, the directors. And on the episode, the directors, the last 7 minutes is Dave Filoni just explaining to all the other directors and Jon Favreau the connection to the Duel of the Fates all the way through the end of the saga. And what he talks about is that the Duel of the Fates isn't the Duel of the Fates between Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, but the Duel of the Fates are the fates of what will happen to Anakin depending on who wins the duel. Because if Qui-Gon defeats Darth Maul, then Anakin has the father figure he needs, and because he loses to Darth Maul and Obi-Wan is left to train him. Remember, Obi-Wan looked at him as another useless life form. Okay, so Obi-Wan becomes a big brother figure instead of a father figure, and now the Emperor is able to slide in and take that father figure role. Yeah. By the way, he does this whole like much more in-depth and better explanation that I just did for 7 minutes straight, and everybody are sitting around that table who have known Star Wars all their life and love Star Wars and are paid to direct Star Wars shut the hell up and listened. And at the end of it, Jon Favreau goes, and I think that about ends our lesson for today. And that's the end of the episode.
He's a prophet. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah. And so it very much like, yeah, with Qui-Gon, it's not that he was dumb, it's that he got killed.
Yeah, he wasn't dumb. He just failed. Yeah, it's just the sad
well, I still kind of look at Qui-Gon Jinn as being an anti-hero because of his rebellious nature and breaking away from. I mean, he's a Jedi, but he doesn't agree with everything, and he kind of goes outside of what they want him to do and does his own thing.
He doesn't toe the party line.
Right, yeah. But he does.
So he wouldn't get any re-election funds in this year's election campaign.
No, he
Right.
would not.
I feel like he does it for all the right reasons, for the greater good.
The greater good.
I know what I said.
Sorry, I had to go hot fuzz
No,
on
no,
you
no.
there.
I do the same thing. That's why I try to catch myself using that particular phrase, because automatically I have looking response for the greater good.
And I
Which,
also
by the way-
enjoy being able to do the shut it at the end of that. Just shut it.
Which, by the way, as soon as we finish this, I'm going to start Truth Seekers on Amazon Prime.
I'm already pretty much done with it. It's actually really funny. So, all right. I don't know if he's really an anti-hero. Is just a great undercover cop. But I love this movie that came out 20 years, Gun Shy, where he plays the FBI agent and he's, doing a sting operation of a drug deal with drug cartel, and then there's a mafioso played by Oliver Platt. And then he's having kind of a midlife crisis and dealing with a doctor and dating Sandra Bullock, while he's also in group therapy. Because again, I don't know.
He have anxiety about using his gun because he has anxiety about shooting his weapon or some shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's really an anti-hero. I just wanted to mention the movie because it's really funny and very underrated. I won't say K-19 is. I think they're just honorable officers, trying to do the right thing. But I will make an argument for this. As short-lived as it is, Gangs of New York. For a priest that's, turn the other cheek, find peace, whatever, he pretty much accepts the violent world that he lives in and is basically rounding up all of the immigrants and saying, yeah, we're going to fight these fuckers and we're going to kill people. By the way, I'm carrying my cross with me while we do it. And I don't know if that's a very priestly thing to do.
Dude, that cross was a fucking weapon, dude. That was his weapon. It wasn't just I'm carrying the cross with me. The cross shall be my weapon. I mean, he's saying that in that statement that he is divine justice. So in that aspect, you could claim that he is some kind of anti-hero because he is using divine providence to essentially justify the means to the end.
That's another reason I make that argument about his character is I don't know of a priest that would actually do that, but it's also yeah. I mean, it's like the old law. This is how we do it, and I'm not going to tote the church line about doing this. I'm doing this outside of what they would want me to do for my people and for God. So I make that argument that he is kind of an anti-hero with that. So no, we don't give a shit about Love Actually. He just threw that movie in there, blah 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 blah. And I don't know if he's really.
Easy money. Sometimes you need easy money.
Yeah, sometimes you just do an ensemble cast to get a movie. I mean, he was kind of funny in it, but and then the other movie he did, Kingdom of Heaven. I don't really consider him an anti-hero in that. I think he's an honorable knight, but a realistic knight. And he isn't in there really long enough.
Yeah, but he has maybe like 15 minutes of screen time. So
yeah, I mean a little bit more if you watch the director's cut, because there's some other scenes in there. But anyway, okay. So you can honestly argue. I mean, since his wife, I think Natasha Hendricks, passed away in 2005, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Batman Begins is kind of where he does. I mean, Ra's al Ghul, I don't consider Ra's al Ghul really a bad guy. I consider him another great anti-hero character in the sense that
he's right, but he goes about it the wrong way.
Right. He is bringing justice, but he's also doing it in a way that he feels like it's the only way to cleanse society and rebuild it. Okay.
She died in 2009, by the way.
Oh, 2009. Okay.
Yep.
But anyway, I thought it'd been longer than that. I guess it just feels like longer. But yeah, you admire. I think you can respect with their reasonings and trying to fix and do what they're trying to do with society or towns and stuff, and bring some sense of justice. Would you agree with the method itself? And that's, I think, part of the great storyline. The difference between Batman and him. But his intentions are good, if that makes sense. And you have to. There's that argument to be made that as bad as society is, or as certain towns are, if they're like the Sodom and Gomorrah type thing, and you're trying to bring some sense of morality or whatever, or start over, should we get to that point? Do we really go that far? And Batman's not going to do that, because that's how he keeps his humanity, versus Ra's al Ghul, where it's like, I'm willing to sacrifice that for the greater good for other people.
Oh, I'm just going to sleep.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of come down to that.
Go to sleep.
But do you guys consider a Ra's al Ghul an anti-hero in any way, or just a villain?
I think he's just a villain, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's a character that could have been an anti-hero, but he just goes because, like, he wants to save the world, but he also wants to kill off half of the world to do it.
Yeah, I was about to say.
That puts you in level of Thanos, not the Punisher.
Yeah.
Right.
What makes you unequal with, like, the Khmer Rouge and, like, Hitler? Ethnic cleansing is the way to peace.
It's like, I mean, if he wanted to, like, if he thought, like, the rich or something, if this was a story about the rich ruining and he's just taking out those characters, maybe okay. And there was some definable good coming out of his actions, then maybe you could make the argument but he's literally trying to wipe a city off the face of the earth. It's like, dude, this ain't the Old Testament. You ain't God, and Gotham ain't Gomorrah. Okay? So, you need to slow your roll there, sport.
Right. That is true. Another interesting way to look at it. I don't know. I can't think of things solely in black and white as that there are villains and all that. I mean, for a good example, the more that I read shit on social media and people snipe, especially this year, as we're close to the election, I'm like, maybe Thanos is right. Maybe half of you motherfuckers need to go.
And what's going to happen? We'll be right back to where we were in 30 years.
I know.
Because when we were born, there were 3.5 billion people on this planet. So Thanos's solution is temporary and short-sighted.
I know. But again, it's just evolution and natural selection. I just look around, people who can't be objective.
If you want natural selection, just take the warning labels off of shit and stop letting people sue because they're stupid.
Yep.
Anyway.
Get a hell of a lot smarter. People really will. They'll get a hell of a lot smarter.
So the other question I have is this, and it comes up to a movie, starting with Taken, but a movie that he kind of did afterwards as well. Or actually right before Taken. I think a lot of some of the stuff that he has done is about revenge. It really is a revenge story, but it's also getting justice for things that have happened to him or his family. So I bring this up. He did a Civil War drama with Pierce Brosnan, which I always find interesting. Let's get two great Irish actors to be in a Civil War or post-Civil War movie. Have you guys seen this movie, Seraphim Falls?
No, I was just looking it over, and I'm kind of amazed by the cast and how poorly it did.
Yeah. Well, again, it's a simple revenge tale. Liam Neeson is chasing, Pierce Brosnan's character, but he's basically seeking revenge for the colonel that murdered his family. Also, as I like to call it, a prequel to the plot of Hell on Wheels. A great series.
I mean, listen to this cast though: Liam Neeson, Pierce Brosnan, Michael Wincott, Xander Berkeley, Angelica Houston, Angie Harmon. I mean, this is a pretty big cast. And it didn't even make back 20% of what its budget was. Its budget was 18 million, and worldwide it made $1 million.
Either it dropped at the wrong moment, or that speaks to a really bad director or writer. So
yeah,
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's not that the cast isn't great. I think sometimes you can't always identify with English or Irish actors, doing Western roles, even though I think it's a horseshit kind of argument. And I think we're getting better at doing that. I think at the time it was just like, well, why can't we get American actors to do it? And why are we getting James Bond?
That's actually historically accurate, because people failed to forget that there was actually a giant influx of Irish immigrants that came to the United States before the Civil War, because there was a fucking thing called the potato famine.
Okay, and it's not like it had a whole lot of competition at the box office in January 2007. Epic movie was released. The King of California. There's no big Blood and Chocolate.
Well, and to Scott's point as well, yeah, you're absolutely right. There's a great Western with Robert Duvall and Kevin Costner called Open Range, where they take on a cattle baron who doesn't like free grazers, and the cattle baron is an Englishman who came to America to find his fortune and came to the West and became a cattle baron. Built up a cattle empire, basically built up the town, and that wasn't completely uncommon. But then again, this is the story of America. We're all, ancestors of immigrants, unless we're Native American. So some of our families came here willingly, some didn't. But here's my question in regards to antiheroes. If you have a revenge tale, a simple story that's about revenge, okay, but it's their own idea of justice. Can you consider the main character, if that's what their quest is, really an anti-hero?
Depends. What are their actions up to achieving that goal? Because if they kill a bunch of people, along the way, and maybe some of those people weren't all that bad either, then yeah, it depends on how you go about, like, okay, you're trying to get justice, but how do you go about getting that justice? Yeah. I think it determines the difference between a hero and an anti-hero.
Well, no, and to make the excellent argument that we were talking about before with Batman and the Joker, everyone can argue, well, technically the Joker could be an anti-hero. No, not really, because it's the way he goes about doing things.
He kills indiscriminately. The Punisher tries not to kill innocent people. He tries only to kill, people who are criminals.
Look at it as
the Joker kills indiscriminately.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the movie that we were making fun of earlier, Cold Pursuit. A real guy, or you know what? I won't use as an example. Let's use the Punisher, especially the Thomas.
Or if you want, use John Clark from Without Remorse, which is about to be a Michael B. Jordan film.
Right. So here's the thing. I use the Punisher and even Cold Pursuit. A guy that's not really an anti-hero lets the cops do their job. It's like, we're going to let justice do that way. I'm not going to go out and do anything. These guys, these are characters that are like, no, I'm not waiting on them, but I'm not going to kill innocent people at the same time. I'm hunting down those who are responsible. Okay, solely that. So if you kind of look at Seraphim Falls, that's all that Liam Neeson's character is doing. It's like, I have one sole purpose. Okay, I'm seeking out justice to hunt down this guy who killed my family. That is it. And I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I don't really remember if innocent people got hurt or died or anything like that in their quest. I think it's just a great chase.
Well, I mean, like, we could do the juxtaposition of like the Cold Pursuit versus what was that Gerard Butler movie where he fucking Law-Abiding Citizen?
Yes.
Yeah. So you do a juxtaposition like that. where like, okay, this guy's a public servant, and he's getting revenge because his son was killed by these drug dealers, versus Gerard Butler's character, where something horrible happened to him and he tried to let the law handle it, and the law failed him, and then so he then turned around as a super specially trained psycho killer, then goes about this revenge rampage, catching innocent and bad people alike in it. So it becomes that that juxtaposition of what is it, like me and Brandon were saying, was like, what are your actions up front? What is your intent doing? Yeah, you could turn around and kill a bunch of horrible fucking evil people, but if your focus for revenge is so tight that everyone to you that you meet is guilty of something or some form or some fashion, then you're not a hero. You're just a villain.
Right.
You're not like a true black villain. You're like a gray villain.
Well, and I think that's also the line when you talk about vigilante justice. Okay, we kind of praise in a lot of ways vigilantes as this is what I would do. Okay, it's the right thing to do. I'm seeking justice. But to your point, Scott, you're right. If you're talking about where you're also hunting other people that are hurting other people that may or not really bad, that's not outside of your purpose of hunting down those who wronged you or those who committed a crime, you have to be very specific in the way you look at it. And I think that's kind of common with everything that he has done. I mean, as we get close to wrapping this up, I mean, I'll look just to give you an example of movies that he's done nonstop. He's a marshal on an airplane trying to foil an attack. He'll do whatever it takes. Walk Among the Tombstones. Again, somebody who's investigating a great crime and is going to seek out those who get it because the law can do it. And he's basically a private investigator. The Commuter. Same thing as Nonstop, but you're on a moving train. Okay?
Nonstop on a train. Which really, let's go back and call these what they are. Die Hard on a plane. Die Hard on a train.
Right. There was a movie he did called Run All Night where his son kills a mafia guy's son, and now he's got to hide his son, and it's just this great cat and mouse game between Liam Neeson's character and Harris's character. But Liam Neeson stoops to doing things that he thought he would never do for the right reasons.
Think about how many movies Die Hard spawned, though. Under Siege, Die Hard on a boat. Speed, Die Hard on a bus.
Well, no, right. even before Liam Neeson doing that one, you have Steven Seagal doing.
I just said Under Siege. I just said that. I said Under Siege, Die Hard on a boat.
Well, no, he did Die Hard 2 or Under Siege 2, where he's on a fucking train.
Die Hard on a train. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, on a fucking train. No.
Dark territory.
Yeah,
but if you really look at, I think he's done I think that he's always done these great anti-hero characters. Okay, whether he's intentionally doing it or not. But I think the carbon copy of the characters that he's playing really stems from doing Taken, because it's basically the same character.
Yeah, it's Brian Mills.
Yeah, that's all you're really doing.
It's just different. It's different versions of Brian Mills. It's humble everyman Brian Mills. It's
yeah,
He
just got a go seat like a motherfucker. He's just dealing with it.
It's basically all of these movies are the multiverse of Brian Mills and how Brian Mills could have taken different directions in his life, but they all lead to him being a badass who takes out bad guys.
Yeah, right. This is why Keanu Reeves made a Bill and Ted movie, because he got sick and tired of playing John Wick. He was done with it. He wanted to
until next year, but.
Well, yeah, when he does John Wick and the Matrix at the same time.
Matrix. So the honesty, to spoil the plot a little bit, he's a bank robber who decides to turn himself in because he finds love. But then he explains why he became a bank robber after he did his 20 years in the Marines as a demolition expert. He started robbing the banks that the CEO of that branch embezzled money and took away his father's pension, and his father died, like penniless and all that. So it's a revenge plot. It's like, I'm basically going to get back and take money away from these people who ruined my dad's life. And then he never spends the money. He just steals it and puts it in boxes and lives off his, military retirement. Doesn't even live a rich lifestyle or anything like that. But instead of being Brian Mills using all sorts of, martial arts skills or great with a gun, I'm a demolition expert. I'm going to find ways to put bombs on your car, scare the shit out of you, timers. That's what I know how to do. By the way, once my girlfriend knows the truth, she's going to hang out with me while we scare the 2 rogue FBI agents that have framed me for murder. That's all you are. You're Brian Mills with explosives. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what I find fascinating is how they try to market these movies as, here is another great, original story with Liam Neeson. No. It isn't.
Well, no, and it's just like that one where he's like the marksman, or it just sounds like, okay, this is Liam Neeson not wanting to do a movie where he has to do a bunch of hand-to-hand, so he can just lay there and do hold the weapon scenes, and it's
it's just
Brian Mills.
This is retired Brian Mills, the sniper.
Yeah, retired Brian Mills. He's on his fishing trip. He's on vacation.
And something bad happens. He just can't take a vacation. Wait a minute, isn't that the plot of Speed 2? I just wanted to be on a cruise. Anyway, but every once in a while, he pops in with these really kind of great movies. Silence, where he's a Catholic missionary in China and ends up in prison. He did the Mark Felt story. He plays Mark Felt, who, or as we all know now, Deep Throat, the source for Woodward and Bernstein. So I think every once in a while he pops in with this kind of interesting movie.
I'll be interested to see his take on Philip Marlowe, though. Is that just going to be, Brian Mills as a detective, or are we going to get something different?
Or is he going to be like really cheeky, really campy, and him dancing around like a shit? It's like, what's going to happen here?
But now, outside of all of these roles, I also find it fascinating that when he's even doing comedy, he's also kind of portraying that anti-hero vigilante motif. A Million Ways to Die in the West, which,
he was a bandit in that. He was a proper bank robber criminal. He wasn't an anti-hero in that. That
right.
was, But no, I agree. Even when he's doing comedy, he's always got this, like, I would just say, like, the tough bastard kind of thing.
Right.
I think part of it has to do with his voice, and he's got that gravitas to him where he can even in a silly situation kind of convey that.
Yeah. He can take a swivel stick and make it sound scary.
So I make this argument about Liam Neeson, that Liam Neeson doesn't do a true heroic role at all. He is always going to play an anti-hero somehow, some way.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's, put it this way. I don't think you'll ever see him playing a King Arthur of Camelot, all shiny and resplendent and white. But
not anymore. No, not when he was younger, maybe, but not anymore. No.
But I don't. I just meant that type of character. But I don't know if he'll to say he's always going to be a true anti-hero either. I think he's probably somewhere in the gray between. So.
Yeah.
And speaking of the gray, hi. I'm not even the wilderness.
I'm Brian Mills versus the Wolves.
I'm going to choke you to death with bark on my knuckles. Brian Mills is Bear Grylls
versus the Wolves. You're welcome for that segue.
We're not making fun of the movie, but at the same time, it's just like, how many variations of Brian Mills from Taken? But this man will not be defeated. Not even nature will get him.
We're making fun of it, but we love all these movies. We do. But it is funny when you objectively look at it and you're like, holy shit, he's played Brian Mills 30 times.
And think about it this way. his little cameo in Ted 2 is how I feel like Brian Mills would be if he's buying Twix, the cereal. It says it's just for kids. Now, there's not going to be any funny business if I buy this. So, again, we kind of poke fun at what
You're
these
welcome for
roles
that
are.
segue, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually. I knew somebody would say gray area. I was just waiting.
I gave you the gray though.
I tried to set it up with like gray villain, like a black villain versus a gray villain, but that one didn't really bite very much.
We haven't even mentioned Hannibal yet, playing Hannibal Smith in the A-Team.
Well, and that was the last thing I wanted to mention out of everything that is done.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Clash of the Titans.
I don't
Do we
think
have to mention that one?
I don't think there's any greater anti-hero role besides Brian Mills and Taken and every other variation is his take on Hannibal Smith in the A-Team movie, which I still love that movie. I thought out of all of the movies they've made based off the TV series, that one's my favorite.
I think it should have gotten a sequel too. I don't know why it didn't. Well, let's see. Oh, it just didn't make enough worldwide. It made money, just not enough to greenlight a sequel.
No, and it was only really appreciative to American audiences who grew up with the show. But
actually, it made more money worldwide than it did in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah, it only made $77 million in the U.S. It made $100 million outside of the U.S.
Well, I mean, I remember when the A-Team dropped, there was also wasn't there also other big movies going on at the time or something like that?
No,
it was a summer movie. It was June 2010. So.
Well, the great thing about that movie is it was perfectly cast. I mean, everybody did such a great job, and Sholto Copley, who played, why am I drawing a blank? Sorry about that.
He played Murdoch.
Yeah.
Oh God. So June 23rd was Twilight Saga Eclipse.
There you go.
We're gonna force Will Smith's children into movies. Karate Kid with Jackie Chan was June 10th. Night and Day was a Tom Cruise movie, came out.
So the reason the reason I wanted to bring up the A-Team as the last movie we talked about is Hannibal Smith really is the perfect anti-hero. I mean, they're always helping people, but they're going to go about it, outside the law and do what they need to do and stuff like that.
I wouldn't even say they're an anti-hero because if you look traditionally at 18, they don't kill people.
I don't. No.
Well, they don't kill people because of the 1980s TV rules. They fired they were a special forces team that fired thousands of rounds of ammo every single episode, and nobody died.
Yeah, I was about to say,
that's the FCC. That's not the writers.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's the thing. The A-Team don't kill people.
But no, I don't think you have to kill people to be an anti-hero. I think
true.
But they're outlaws. They are outlaws.
They live outside the law, do the right thing to help people when there's nobody else you can turn to. That's the point. What they did with this movie, not only was it a great action movie, but again, I thought they got a great cast. Bradley Cooper was great as Space, but Liam Neeson, I mean, to me, and I love George Papard, but I kind of put those two together, and I'm like, damn, Liam Neeson was really good. And I mean, just the way he delivered that iconic line, I love it when a plan comes together. But yeah. To me, that's just kind of the perfect way of the roles that he takes on. It's not exactly the perfect hero, or as I would like to say, it's the hero like we would need. And that makes those characters, much better, even if the plot line is not really that great. So that's my take on Liam Neeson personally. I come from the opinion that I think he just can't help but playing an anti-hero. That he would just never really be a perfect hero. But then again, he's much better in those roles. I can never see him purely as the white snow hero in any movie.
Okay, you name one Irishman that can be a white snow hero.
Well, that is true too. Good point. Good point. So, anyway, do you agree with my opinion or not, Scott?
Oh no, I agree. I agree.
Hmm.
I think it's honestly just because of the fact that I think it's probably just the roles he wants to play. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, he's at the point now with his career. He was at the point with his career fucking 15 years ago, where
Yeah.
he didn't really have to do anything he didn't want to do. And so I think now he's just actually playing all the roles he's always wanted to play and never got the chance to play.
Yeah. And you know what? Keep making it. I mean, was Taken 3 really that good of a movie? No. But it was fun.
But even
And
he realized Taken 3 wasn't even that good of a movie, and that's why they had fun with making the movie. That's why Taken 3 is good. Because they are taking the piss out of Taken as the people who made fucking Taken.
yeah. So I say this to Liam Neeson. Even and I didn't rate the Honest Thief as really that great of a movie, but it was a fun movie, and I would certainly watch it again if it was on cable, like in the background or something. You keep doing what you do. This is like an Asian action star where we can't get enough of your movies, even if it's the same character over and over. To me, you know what you're doing versus Tom Cruise, where I'm going to make whatever Mission Impossible movie is coming out this week. We're going to stop some rogue bad guys, but do incredible stunts. Oh, and by the way, Simon Pegg is a regular in the movies now. So, anyway. But that's kind of how we look at Liam Neeson as being a great anti-hero character. And as I said, keep doing it. Keep giving us these kind of movies as long as you can and entertain us. And really, I kind of wish, even if it was just animation or whatever, I really wish Disney and Lucasfilm would go back until like early adventures of Qui-Gon Jinn. I think that'd be kind of awesome. He was a Jedi we just didn't get to experience enough.
I mean, they never given us Kenobi, so maybe that's possible.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, and if you're gonna do here's the issue I have with doing an early Qui-Gon Jinn. He was trained by Count Dooku, and
Yep.
Christopher Lee is dead. Do we really want to redo his voice? I don't.
I know. It's wishful thinking, but it's just kind of like, don't ruin a good thing.
Well, but here's the other thing. I mean, yeah, Christopher Lee passed away, and that is sad and that is awful. But at the same time, the actor who did Dooku's voice in the Clone Wars actually did a very good job.
Yeah, that's true.
And I would not be. But
I think it would have to be. I think it would have to be a cartoon at this point.
It has to be animated. You're
because
right.
there's no way Liam Neeson's ass is jumping up and down like that shit anymore. Like even Ewan McGregor's getting to the point his ass is so fucking old he can't fucking be doing all this crazy Kenobi shit. So he's gonna have a stunt double.
Well, and Rebels did a great job of, as well as the Clone Wars, of giving us great animation and great storytelling that it's good for all ages. So, all right, everybody, we're gonna wrap this up. Let us know what you think about Liam Neeson and being an anti-hero. Would you agree or disagree with us? You tweet us out of Twitter at That Nerd Show. Real quick, Brendan, give us a good recommendation on a beer that people should drink on Halloween.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll go with a pumpkin stout from Southern Tier Brewing in New York, the Warlock. It's an imperial stout with pumpkin.
Nice. All right.
Unfortunately, you can't get in here anymore in Texas because Southern Tier pulled out of Texas, but it's a good one that I used to like. So,
hey, if you're up north or whatever, checking this out, there we go.
If you want something from Texas that's similar, go with the St. Arnold Pumpkinator.
Nice. All right, that is actually a good one. All right, folks, we are out of here. We will be back next week with yet another great podcast. I want to thank our squad leader, K. Scott Cooper, for joining us today. In his fancy clothes, better dressed than we are. I haven't put my costume together.
Why would I not be ready for Samhain? It's fucking great.
Nice. And if you haven't seen the episode of the first episode of The Mandalorian, shame on you. You better have had an emergency if you're not a true Star Wars fan yet. All right, everybody. Say goodbye.
Bye,
Well,
everybody.